Hello and welcome to Across the Acres, a Beck's Hybrids podcast, where our goal is to connect, challenge, and inspire each and every one of you by interviewing others who have a story or message to share. My name is David Ringer. I am your host. I'm joined by Morgan Fitch, the man behind the board.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
Repping the Cubs. I'm well.
Of course.
Thank you. That's a nice T-shirt.
Yeah, it is.
And today you've got it in padded chairs.
Yeah, I'm changing it up today, so.
Why not? For our special guest.
Of course. I told him it was only for him. This is all for him.
This is just the Ben Orebaugh show.
Yeah.
Right here.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Ben,
of
do you
course.
feel comfortable?
I feel good on this futon with you. Yeah.
This is a nice futon.
Yeah, right. It's nice.
Yeah.
Is this where you take naps, Morgan?
I plead the fifth.
Yeah, we know John, our photographer, does this, but didn't know if you joined him for nap time or not.
Normally, no, we rotate out the hours.
I was going to say, it's kind of a
So,
one-man
yeah.
futon anyway.
It folds down.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, it is a futon,
true.
so.
Well,
Now
now
we
we
know,
come
Ben.
to take a nap.
Yeah.
Now we
You
know.
guys leave this unlocked, or can I get the code?
We'll talk off camera.
Okay.
Well, Ben, we're thrilled to have you today. So thankful to see a part of the business that we don't often get to see. But before we get to that, who is Ben Orebaugh? Where'd you grow up?
All right. Who has Ben Orebaugh? So, how long is this podcast?
2.5 days.
Okay. And you guys
What
want
is this, a cricket
you,
match?
you guys want to go into witness protection program?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, we know. We've heard.
Yeah, Ben Orebaugh. I'm not that mysterious, actually. So, Ben, well, I guess to start out, I have to say, not to get too preachy, but my identity is in Christ. And I know you guys would find this hard to believe, but I am a sinner, saved by grace through faith, by the work and the power of Christ did on the cross. So,
Amen.
that's me now. You know, it's a life of sanctification, right? The struggle is real.
Yes, it is.
As living a life of faith. But I can't. I just used the word sanctification. I didn't think I'd
Wow.
be using that in the podcast, right?
We can't spell that, but it's a great
But
word.
yeah, next thing we'll be talking about limited atonement and predestination.
Ooh, I
and,
like it. Man,
right.
we're going to go deep here today, ladies and gentlemen.
Well,
Hang on. It's going to be a
well,
ride.
Well, the only reason I just had to refresh on those, I just got reinstalled as a deacon at my church. And
Okay.
so, yeah, they got really desperate and we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. I was like, well, we got to let this Ben guy in because
Yeah. He has nothing else to do.
he can set up chairs and mop floors and
The new qualifications for
shovel
deacon.
snow, but
You can.
okay. Well, enough about that. Yeah. So I am, I'm a son of two amazing parents, Keith and Betty Orebaugh. They're still living on the family farm,
Okay.
just south of Muncie, about halfway between Muncie and Newcastle. And
Okay.
yeah, a brother to three awesome siblings. I've got two older sisters and an older brother. So I am the youngest of four. I am the baby, but I wasn't babied. We talked earlier
That's fair.
about farrowing pigs.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was the guy that did a lot of the, sanitation in the farrowing house and the feeding and everything else. So when everybody said, "Oh, you're going to Purdue University, you're going to study animal science," I was like, "No,
Anything but.
I'm going to study plant science. Plants are much better to work with than pigs.
Amen.
The next pig I want to see is on my plate, right?" So,
Well, when Jesus cast the devil into the swine, they stayed there.
yeah, right. So
Well, Sheila Downey, a previous guest here, check that episode out, was also growing up on a hog farm as we
Okay.
did.
gotcha.
And in the farrowing house specifically, though, you're a nurturer. You have to be. You're
Well,
caring
yeah.
for animals.
Yeah,
Do
it's
you
true.
find yourself still nurturing?
I suppose so. More for plants than animals these days.
Yep.
Well, and then I'm also an uncle to several nieces and nephews.
Okay.
So I am very proud of them. Very try to be involved in their lives as they've grown up over the years.
Good for you.
I've never been married, don't have my own children, so it's great to invest in them and spend time. Now I try to be the fun uncle, the funkle, but sometimes I'm the fuddy-duddy uncle. But
Sure.
it's been a pleasure to see them grow up. One of them's at Purdue right now in the farmhouse and studying ASM at Purdue,
Okay.
and then I had a niece just graduate about a year ago in May, ironically in animal science.
Yep.
But she wasn't with me on the pig farm, so
She didn't.
she had
know
a different
not
experience
to get into it.
But
yeah.
no, I'm very proud of all my nieces and nephews, and just a friend to several people that I cherish here at work and in my community at church. And so.
Just because we don't have children doesn't mean we don't parent. You're just going to help somebody out along the way, and it's going to be a parental relationship. And so please keep that up. We whom have children need people whom don't have children because we can't do it without you.
Yeah.
It's just a hard reality. Raising kids is an adventure.
Yeah, as older I get, it's a lot of fun investing in others. That's a very important thing in life, to invest in others. And I have that opportunity with my nieces and nephews and others. So it's a great thing to do.
It is. I have 2 great aunts whom helped raise all of us as kids. One just recently went home to be with the Lord, and Aunt Lil is still around causing mischief and trouble and helping to raise us. And I wouldn't want to imagine life without Aunt Lil or Aunt Vi. So they are a huge impact in our life. And now Morgan's trying to raise a dog. Do you have a dog too, or
I don't? No, like I said, I have no animals.
None.
Because I
no
don't.
Goldfish or.
No, I have. I've got the neighbors' kids. They're kind of like
That's
and the neighbors'
like
animals. The neighbors' dogs are always at my house. In fact, if I leave the door open, they'll come right in the house.
Oh my!
The neighbor's cat, and so I've got a really cool neighborhood where it's a very open door policy. We come in and out of each other's houses, and so
very nice.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Where do you live now? What community?
I just live be east of Noblesville.
Okay.
Yep. It's a little small. It's an old neighborhood. I bought a house in a forest, as it turns out. So this addition was built back in the 60s and 70s. So it's very mature trees.
Yes.
And it's only about 25 houses right off Promise Road. So
okay.
So that's where I bought when I came back from Africa. I saw this place. I was like, man, this is, I like it.
This is home.
This is going to be home. So
okay. Very good.
Yeah.
And how long have you been with Beck's Hybrids?
Oh man. So I started out with Beck's. So actually, to back up a little bit, I came here for a field day in 1998 and met Tom Hooper and Doug Clauser.
Okay.
And through that, I ended up getting an interview with Sonny and Kevin Cavanaugh. So long story short, I had some other offers coming out of Purdue, but I was like, I kind of like this Beck's. And I had an interview with Pioneer. They want to send me out to Iowa. It's like, I think I want to stay around Indiana, and this Beck's thing sounds pretty cool. So I ended up coming on board with Beck's in January of 99. Okay. So I was at the Christmas party in 99, I was number 52 employee out of 64.
Wow.
So seen a few changes over the years.
Just a few.
So yeah.
Wow.
So that's where I started my career here right out of Purdue. And at that time it was Kevin Cavanaugh and Doug Clauser in the research department, and they hired myself, another gentleman, Roger Levy, which some people would know, and
you bet.
Another guy that didn't last too long. We doubled the research department just like overnight because they hire us all at the same time. So
sure.
So that was the beginning of the research. Well, it wasn't the beginning because there was Kyle Smith as well.
Correct.
Kyle Smith was still around, and so appreciated him. But
Doc was your first boss then?
Yeah.
Okay. Doc Cavanaugh, for those of you who don't know. But and how long did you work for Doc then? Up until when he left our organization, or?
Yeah, pretty much. So I worked for him for up till 2012 was when I made my exit for Africa. But then when I came back, he was still here. So technically I worked for him again. So there was kind of Sonny told me when I left for Africa, is like, if you get back, there may, let us know, there may be opportunity here. So.
Okay. And before departing, different titles, different roles, but you were all in research.
Yeah, I was all in research. Well, back in the day, you would maybe be in research one day. I actually did some seed deliveries because I'd gotten my CDL.
Oh, and they found out about it.
Yeah, right. And so when you got 60, 70 employees, you kind of wear different hats. So
absolutely,
you'd help out in different places. But
and we still do that today a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
Morgan's producing a podcast one day and taking a nap the next.
He's kidding.
It's busy.
Boss is.
Yes. So So I started out as a research associate, and then so Doug Clauser was one of my mentors, taught me a tremendous amount about Excel and just how to package seed, and he's got a tremendous work ethic. So that was great working with him because I grew up that way as well. So we had a lot of fun. I think, we call it the good old days. It may not have been the good old days in the day, but we had a lot of fun. We have a lot of good stories, but so then I worked my way kind of had a passion for breeding. I'd worked at Purdue in the greenhouses, working with herb ohm and Dr. Fred Patterson and wheat breeding. And so kind of had an interest in genetics and plant breeding. And so as Kevin Cavanaugh kind of got more, his time was taken more and more up by being on the leadership team and administration and doing other things. He kind of handed it off to me.
Okay.
Off to me and Roger Levy. Yep. And so Roger and I kind of worked together to start to build a foundation of the breeding company that's exists today. So I did that probably, I don't know when that transition happened, but by the time I left in 2012, we just moved across the street into the new building, and things were hitting on all cylinders. And at that time I was lead corn breeder. We had some proprietary products coming out, and so we were feeling good. We were selling some stuff in the Beck brand and getting a couple patents on some inbred lines. So,
which for a family-owned small seed company,
that's huge.
That is, amazing.
Yeah,
really.
So to have the freedom to operate with your own germplasm is
game changing.
Is key. Yeah, because that that bag that goes out the door is the cost of goods is a lot lower.
Oh my. And at that time, and to this day, we're still not developing traits. When you're talking about corn breeding,
right,
it's simply the hybrid.
Yeah.
But still, that's a lot less in your cogs. And my goodness, that is a huge, huge deal.
Yeah, the Beck family is really committed to pouring a lot of resources into plant breeding. I think they realize, we at some point we have to have some freedom to operate with our own genetics. To have that proprietary genetics is key, not only for our farmers to be successful because we're breeding in their environments and can be very regionally focused, but also that bag of seed that goes out the door is more lucrative than having to access genetics from someplace else where you have to pay them back a genetic royalty. So
that choices message that we're very familiar with, that's what makes it so unique, is that little box on the bottom that a lot of people overlook, the Beck's breeding program.
Right.
And I don't want to overstate it, but I don't want to understate either the value that brings to our organization and then the farmer.
Yeah, exactly.
Very important. But you've mentioned a couple of times already, you then went to Africa. And how many people do that? Wake up one morning and say, you know what? I think I'm going to take off for Africa. See ya. And my good career here at Beck's Hybrids. So why Africa?
Yeah, that's a good question. That may be a two-part series podcast. But honestly, I really had no desire to ever go to Africa. It wasn't something on my radar.
I think very few people would say, right? I think most of us want to stay home.
Yeah,
maybe,
right.
Maybe that's overstating.
I
think most people would be like,
have an itch to scratch. I like traveling to Africa. I'd love to go.
Travel, but not.
I wouldn't
live.
I'd say I wouldn't.
I'd
move there.
Yeah.
Pack it all up and just take the dog and go. I think is pretty unique. But
unique or crazy, I don't know. But I had traveled a little bit before, Europe, and I actually did a study abroad program in Australia. That's why Will and I get along so good.
Okay.
But, so that was back when I was going to Purdue. So I'd kind of gotten off the pig farm and then kind of seen a few things. But Africa was not on my radar. I was like, and so long story short, or short story long, I got approached by some friends of friends that knew that I was a corn breeder at Beck's and that I grew up on a pig farm. It keeps coming back to pigs.
It always does.
Sorry. And they're like, this is our guy, So they approached me and said, hey, we got this project in Rwanda that we're working with pigs and corn. And I'm like, okay, where's Rwanda? I was like,
I would need a map.
I was like, okay. And so I'm like, that's cool. Let me think about it. So I went home, I'm looking up Rwanda. I went to the local library at that time. Because this was back in 2005 or 6 when these folks approached me.
Northwest corner of the continent?
It's right in the heart, right below Uganda.
Sorry, Mr. Meister in 7th grade.
Yeah.
History class, that's on me.
It's a little bitty country. It's only about a third the size of Indiana. It's got like 12 million people, so it's got a very densely populated it's a very densely populated country. But so I started reading about the history of Rwanda, and their history's complicated. So they had a genocide back in 1994, and
I remember that.
it's pretty ugly. So you're kind of thinking, yeah, I'm good. I think I'll stay in Indiana. They're like, no, you got to go with us. I'm like, no, I think I'm okay. They're finally like, okay, we'll pay for your ticket. Just go with us. It's just a vision trip. I'm like, okay, well, it's an adventure. They're going to pay for my ticket. It's like, and pretty much pay for my stuff when I'm there. So I was like, okay, sign me up. And so these were actually folks out of Greenville, Illinois. You're familiar with Greenville?
Absolutely.
So Greenville College, now Greenville University.
Yes.
So this professor there, I don't know if he was a professor at the time. But he had been a missionary over in East Central Africa in that Rwandan, Burundi area. And then there were some business people in the community that were around this project. And so that's the folks. So Greenville, it's all blame it on Greenville, these folks from Greenville. But
Yep.
So
Keep an eye out for them.
So I ended up going over there, and the first trip was, very interesting. And through the next several years, I was taking some short-term mission trips over there, and things kind of snowballed over the years. And there's a couple moments that really affected me that I wrestled with. And coming back here, I was living the American dream. I had a great job here at Beck's, lead corn breeder, had a company vehicle, making good money, had my own house, and it's like, why? Yeah. And so they got to a point where they need somebody to be over there full time. They're approaching me. I was like, and so, at some point it's really gets really exhausting running from the Holy Spirit sometimes.
Yes, it does.
And you're just like, you just got to do this thing, right? I know it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy to yourself. So I can imagine how crazy it sounded to my family and people here at Beck's, my community here in Indiana. So yeah, I came in one day, resigned. Kavanaugh was like, hey, I'm doing this, and Sonny and everybody in my own family. And it was just, yeah. So I moved over there in 2012 and started out with a project in Rwanda where we're introducing mechanization and better agronomic practices and growing seed for the government and other organizations. And my first 6 weeks there, we were putting together two 1420 combines out of containers. Yeah, 1980s versions. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah, it was with a shoebox full of tools.
I was going to say parts not included.
And they didn't label all the parts. So they just got buckets full of bolts and all the paneling that's on a combine. Yeah. So that was an interesting experience. So that project went pretty good. And then it kind of fizzled. Well, it didn't fizzle out, but things changed there. And then I got another opportunity to move up to Uganda to kind of do more what I was trained for. And so I moved up to Uganda to work for this company to build a breeding and testing program in corn.
Okay.
And so I spent the next 3.5 years there in Western Uganda with I call it the Becks of Uganda. It's one of the largest independent seed companies in Uganda called Nalaweo Seed Company.
Okay.
That's the name of the village, so they call it Niseko. Okay. And so built a team of researchers out of the local village, and God really blessed me, brought me some really great folks that just loved corn, and they're still there. I was just back there in January, and they're just killing it. Very encouraging.
Wow.
To leave behind something that is progressing. They're actually introducing new proprietary genetics that are helping the Ugandan farmers succeed. And they're in the Congo. They're in Kenya. They're selling corn in Kenya and Burundi and the South Sudan. And so, and the company's just exploding and growing. They can't keep up with the growth. They're selling out of seed.
Wow.
So I think
familiar.
in a few years, they'll probably be up to 300,000 to 500,000 units of corn sold in 5-pound bags at a time, 2 kilos.
Oh my!
So can you imagine? So they have.
That's incredible.
It is. It's crazy. The number of customers and the number of bags. So.
But are they offering commitment rewards and free replay?
Yeah,
I mean,
really.
Come
Come
on.
on.
I mean,
well,
hello.
They did offer some bicycles at one point.
See,
There you go.
So,
commitment
yeah.
rewards
There you go.
works in any language on any continent.
That's right.
Yeah.
That is incredible to think about. Just as you said, the number of customers. If you're selling 500,000 units of corn in a 5-pound bag.
Yeah, and it's a country. So Uganda's probably 40. They estimate around 40 million. and it's a 70% agrarian society. So that's a lot of customers.
Oh my goodness.
And that's a lot of, and so they started, they bought these packaging machines that basically put the corn in kind of like a plastic. Once they open it, it's destroyed because there's a lot of problem with fake seed over there.
Oh.
So they were selling it in these polywoven bags, and people, it's an interesting paradigm over there. It's a whole different paradigm than selling seed here. And so they've kind of got some of that figured out. They've mechanized some of their production and more mechanizing some of their processing and stuff. So when I was over there this last time, there was 1,000+ acre production farm, and everything was detasseled and harvested by hand. And now they're
1,000 acres. By hand.
Yeah, crazy, right? And now they've got some mechanized self-propelled corn pickers and center pivot or irrigation. So things are you don't always hear the good things about what's going on over there. There are some very positive, great things going on over there. And these farmers obviously are happy because they're coming back and buying seed.
Absolutely.
So
they're seeing a profit. They're seeing a return.
And instead of sending only 3 kids to school, they can send all 5 kids to school. So they're making better return.
The civilization of a people or society is changed by income.
Right.
First and foremost. And so that's what they're doing.
Yeah, it's all about agrarian society. You're better your business as a farmer, and pretty soon that we all come from an agrarian. I mean, even the U.S.
Absolutely.
So things are changing.
Wow.
In a positive thing, in a positive way, I believe.
Absolutely positive. You bet.
Yeah.
For you personally, then you experienced this. You come back home and what year was that you came back?
So I left in 2012, came back in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in 2017, you come back to the United States and you say, I'm going to go back to Beck's Hybrids.
Yeah.
Why not?
Right. So I took a little time off to spend some time with my parents and family. So I took about 4 or 5 months off.
Seems reasonable.
Helped on the family farm. It was kind of fun. Bounced around to different friends and family just to kind of reconnect and kind of get my bearings, and kind of living out of a backpack, just kind of like I did in Africa. So I was used to living out of a backpack because we had 12 different replicated sites around Uganda to test all this
you were
breeding
literally
material.
Living out of a backpack.
I was a wanderer.
I've done that for like a day and a half. Does that count?
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
Can
I
you
was
imagine
wondering,
5 years though.
wandering around all over, Uganda, living in interesting hotel rooms. It was a blast. It was fun. It was no 2 days were the same, and it was a great experience. But yeah, so I came back 2017, and I had some other opportunities, but I was like, man, something about Beck's. It just made sense to come back here, and they needed a trait conversion guy in the greenhouse, and so I'd done some of that work along with my breeding work previously with Beck's. So yeah, I came back in that role, and now they've got me in the greenhouses, and so it's good to get out of the greenhouses because
Yes, we don't want you getting too much of a tan.
Yeah.
right.
That's not good.
When you got back to the States after 5 years, was there any sort of culture shock or anything that you were you had to kind of reacclimate yourself to life in the States?
Besides McDonald's.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the transition wasn't, I think I'd prepared myself mentally.
Yeah.
And I'd come home a couple times in that 5-year period. So,
So you got little tastes of.
yeah. So I was like, cause I'd always heard people coming back and having a hard time. And I was like, well, it is just what it is. And I'm fairly pragmatic. So I'm just like, okay. So, I remember though, after church one Sunday, and this was before I bought my house that I live in now, I was going back to my sister's, and I was like, I'm just going to drive through some of these neighborhoods that look new. And these, down here in Fishers in Hamilton County, just driving while I was like, man, this place has so much. It's so wealthy. And it's like, these houses are humongous. Like, I used to go visit my friends outside the village that living in these little shacks with a lot of people. And so it was just it wasn't that it made me irritated or angry. It's just different context. It's just a different part. And So no, I didn't really struggle too much. Although I've gained a lot of weight because when I came back, I started eating all kinds of stuff, right? Because I lived on some very simple food over there, and but I've never been healthier. I mean, I'd come home and I'd be very skinny and be like, people were like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, you need to eat more.
It's like, man, I feel great.
That's
No
awesome.
processed food, eating simple food every day. Yeah.
What would a typical Rwandan meal versus Ugandan? Are they real similar?
Similar. I mean, there's a lot of beans.
Okay.
A lot of beans, greens, cabbage, a lot of starches, potato, cassava, sweet potato, ugali, which is pasho, which is basically corn grits condensed. So it's a cornmeal that's almost like a paste that they roll up and they dip in different sauces. So I didn't eat a lot of meat, kind of stayed away from some of that. So protein was a lot of eggs and beans. So, but when I lived in Uganda, I had access to grocery stores in Kampala. So I did have access to certain processed food. In fact, they just put a KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, in Kampala. Now I think there's like 5. Like last time I was there, when I was there's only 2. So they franchised in Uganda. Crazy, right? Now there's like insane. 6 KFCs and like drive through and everything. This is in Kampala, Uganda. Yeah. And it's actually really good quality.
Yeah.
I went there because I was curious this last time I was visiting there in January. I was like, man,
Is their menu different? Is it more?
It's a little bit different.
Localized, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
They like spice. And so there's a little more spicy things, but
still the Colonel's original recipe, though.
Right.
I would hope.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't stray
27
from
spices.
27.
blends.
Yeah.
So
It's
wow.
awesome.
it was good.
Now that you're back home and you're in the greenhouse for us, what's the next phase do you see for our business when it comes to trait conversion? Obviously, if there's secrecy here, we don't want to violate that. But what's the coming age of corn breeding and trait conversion?
And on that, does corn breeding and traits move as fast as, say, computer technology and stuff?
Ooh.
Where, like, once
Good
you finally
question.
get something, it's like, okay, we're on to the next thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it takes a while with, corn breeding because you develop it and you have to test it and everything else. But I think, so right now we're actually transitioning a little bit in the sense that we're replacing some of the Roundup ready technologies, specifically speaking to corn. We've had some problems with a certain trait in the past, so that's getting replaced. So we're on that path to basically make our products better, and then getting some new traits from another company that we're working with. So yeah, I think there's a lot of startups that are always working with gene editing and everything else. So I think this thing's going to continue to change, and I think Beck's is on the top of their list to work with. As far as genetics, the Beck family has obviously invested in breeding quite a bit, and so we have a new breeding program out in Nebraska, and so we're going to continue to put our gas pedal down on these breeding programs to help give our customers a different choice, in the sense that, and freedom to operate with some proprietary genetics is key if you want to remain in this business and not be totally dependent on others. And so, yeah, I think the future's bright. And I think there's a lot of things with the genomic selection, gene editing, and I think this whole AI thing, a lot of that tied to, I mean, you're still going to, obviously, I'm kind of old school, so you're still obviously going to have to go out there and look at the phenotype, but matching that phenotype, the genotype, and then putting that into an algorithm or into a program where there's AI and everything else, I'm pretty excited what the future holds as far as as a tool to help breeders out in the field develop new things.
And to Morgan's question, that's going to only speed things up.
I think so.
I mean, I don't know that we're quite as rapidly evolving as computer technology.
Yeah.
I don't think,
But
that's probably around the corner. Or
it's still, so the problem is computer technology can happen in any time of the year.
Right.
So we have one season a year,
that's true.
season a year to
didn't
test
think of that.
things. So it slows us down quite a bit because, you got one season to test. So it has to be proven in the field before you're going to sell it. So no, it's not going to be as fast as computer technology, but computer technology will help.
Yeah, for sure.
I see that being used in a big way in the future as a tool.
You mentioned AI. What role does it play today, if any? And then in the near future, what do you see it playing?
I'm probably not the right guy to ask, but I think just once we get all these things into these algorithms and into the data system, I'm sure there's going to be a way of asking AI, say, okay, what inbred do I want to cross with what inbred? Because this inbred is deficient in this inbred is deficient in this. What can I do? What other inbred can I cross it with to make up a new population to advance and solve these problems? So I think that's where AI is probably going to come in. How? I don't know. I'm not very techie, but I think it's going to blow your mind in the next 10 years. In fact, I was just at so I meet with some men from church every Wednesday morning down at Panera Bread down here in Hamilton County. And one of them's a software programmer, and he was talking about AI yesterday morning and opening my eyes. In fact, he's going to talk about it at church this Sunday. We have a Sunday school. We're talking about hard topics, and one of them's technology and AI. And he opened my eyes to some things. I even kept him afterwards. I was like, and asking him some questions, and I'm like, wow.
Oh, it's scary.
It's wow.
It really is.
I think a lot of people need to inform themselves about this, including myself, because it's coming.
It is. And actually, Scott Beck, our president, just put out an email to the employees with a use manual for AI. And I thought that was wise. Just being a good steward of the tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being aware of it. And that it has a tremendous amount of capability. And with great power comes great responsibility, according to Spider-Man's dad. And Uncle. Sorry. Yep. And
Easy.
Yeah. Sorry.
Uncle Ben. R.I.P.
Uncle Ben. Yep.
Yeah.
Not this Ben, to be clear.
Oh.
But yeah, that power is going to be used more heavily, and I think that's going to speed things up.
Yeah. To that, if your nephew gets bitten by a radioactive spider, watch your back.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I've read a lot of Spider-Man.
Yes.
Okay. I'll make sure I keep that in mind.
Cool. Okay.
I'm guessing
Just
from
looking
that,
out for you.
From that reaction, you're not familiar with the story of Spider-Man.
not.
Oh, all right.
Ben.
Well,
I'm a little bit slow when it comes to those things. Yeah, I'm more of a documentary history
Ken Burns guy.
guy. Yeah,
I can see
Big Ken
that.
Burns guy. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, British drama, stuff like that.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Downton Abbey.
Yeah,
Okay.
some things like that. So, yeah.
All right. I can see it. Are you
I don't
thinking about
mind.
retiring and becoming the next Rick Steves with the whole travel thing, or no?
You know what's funny is I have some of his books and I watch his shows, and
I knew you did.
I've actually been to Europe with some other folks that is what they travel off as, and I tell you what, he doesn't disappoint.
He's right on.
He is spot on.
He is so accurate.
yeah.
Who? Sorry.
Rick
Yeah,
Steves
Rick Steves.
is the name.
Don't know.
Yeah, he writes travel books and gives you ideas on, mostly in Europe.
Yeah.
But
Public
kinda
broadcasting is
off-
where
yeah.
you'd see his show.
Yeah, WFYI, PBS.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Just right after you get done with the Purdue game, you can flip over to Rick and you can travel
Yeah.
to Europe free.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you're just sitting in your living room,
Yeah.
hanging out in Paris.
When you're dealing with the crushing blow that Purdue is
Yeah.
inevitably going to lose.
Oh, it's so sad.
Anyway.
Oops. It's okay. Do you follow Purdue basketball?
Yeah, a little.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
I saw
not a
I saw the
diehard.
game this weekend. It was
Okay.
That was harsh.
There was.
I mean, anybody but the Buckeyes.
yeah.
Yeah. Except IU.
Yeah, true.
Got to throw that
Yeah.
out there. I grew up in West Lafayette, so.
Okay, gotcha. Yep, understandable.
Anything else you want to accomplish here at Beck Hybrids on the bucket list? This has got to be done before I dart off to Africa again.
Well, actually, I've had this thought and discussed it with some people. So no, I'm kind of enjoy where I'm at right now. I don't know if that'll be maybe I'll get into sales or something someday.
Why not?
So I mean, if I can sell corn to my dad, I can sell corn to any farmer.
Amen to that.
But I don't know if I'm a salesman. I've been in research my whole career, so. But I do have some ideas about. Maybe these are crazy ideas, but I've actually started working on a PowerPoint. But we have these commitment rewards, right?
Mhm.
And there's things that you can get, items you can get for our customers, trips or some of those things. I was thinking about what about an agro-tourism / safari / missions trip to Africa
Ooh.
and visit farms, visit something, we'll do a or a tea plantation, coffee plantation, visit where I used to work in Uganda, see the seed business, see the production farm. I think, and then there's actually some commercial farmers there in Uganda that are farming with big equipment, all the way down to a smallholder farmer that's farming with a hoe with his family, So,
Todd Roberts is listening, the head of
Okay.
our commitment rewards department,
And
and he should be under notice
So
or
I've
on
got-
notice. On notice.
so I've got a lot of people on the ground there, right? With all my connections from living there 5
Absolutely.
years that I can trust to make sure this experience is good.
Top shelf.
Yeah, top shelf. It wouldn't be like how I used to live out of a backpack, like, staying in local
Yeah, we
hotels. This would
wouldn't.
be like
Mm-mm.
really nice places, really nice food, everything else. We'd make it nice.
Well, and Morgan's not going to go if there's any threat of being eaten by a lion.
Oh, I'd still go
Oh, he would.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, for
he's
sure.
in.
Yeah, I'd be safe.
for sure.
I mean, it's only a lion.
I mean, I've had
You only live once.
Yeah.
actually both my sisters and a niece have visited me. Couple of my pastors. So it's not. I mean, I wouldn't have those people coming over if it was unsafe. Even my brother, who doesn't really get out of Indiana much, came over and visited.
Ooh, good job,
so
you.
I got him off the farm and out of the workplace, and I don't know that he'll go back. He enjoyed it, but he wasn't kind of his thing. But yeah, my sisters and nieces and my pastors and some of the guys from church that came over and visited me go back in a heartbeat.
Okay.
So yeah, kind of to develop a program like that would benefit, because I think if some of our bigger customers or even our smaller whoever goes on a trip like that, the bond that you would build on a trip like that would be pretty amazing. And,
Yes, it would.
and even an employee exchange. So I'm even thinking about an employee exchange, because this seed company they have a marketing department. Their marketing part, I'm telling you, that's pretty amazing how they're marketing their products. They have a lot of things going
I
on.
like the sound of
and they have a
this.
lot of production going on, but they need help in certain areas.
Like maybe starting an education department.
There you go.
Well, this guy hired an HR lady.
Okay.
So that's where it begins, right? I mean, for
Absolutely.
many years, we didn't have an HR department.
No.
I mean, I can remember when I got hired on, it was sign papers and go to work.
Absolutely.
So when Bethany came on, I was like, man, this is awesome. She, started creating an HR department, and so this company's kind of at that point now where they have enough employees that So what I'm saying is it'd be awesome to have an employee exchange. And I think my old boss over there in Uganda would be on board with this. And just swapping employees.
Oh, I love it.
That's cool.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Morgan, anything else
I'm
we need
good.
to brief this young man on before
I'm
we
good.
torture him with the Fun Fast 5?
Oh, man.
Ben, are you prepared for this?
I think so.
Okay. This is typically the most fun and difficult portion of the podcast, and I picked a few of these just because of what I knew of you. I thought you would be tortured by these. So if we're ready, let's go.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
ready.
Instagram or Twitter?
Instagram.
Okay. Stained clothes or wrinkled clothes?
Wrinkled.
Regret or doubt?
Doubt.
Skydive or bungee jump?
Skydive.
Freedom or hope?
Hope.
Explain.
You can have freedom without hope. What does it matter, right?
Amen. And if we don't have hope in the Lord,
Yeah. So I think if you always
pretty
have
empty.
hope, you take away a man's hope, it's not going to be a good life.
absolutely right.
So
Yeah.
Well done.
Well done.
thanks.
This has been a treat, Ben. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for
appreciate
being on
you,
Across the
delighted
Acres.
you
This
guys
is great.
Yeah.
Had me here today.
You bet. When I
Oops.
Hopefully I
heard
did
just
not.
a little bit about your story, I thought we got to have you here. And
Appreciate that.
as things change and trade conversion stuff happens, you keep us in the loop. We'll have you back, and
All right.
we'll have coffee next time.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to get a coffee maker out here. So
Ooh, there we go. We did finally get a bathroom installed,
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah.
so
whoop,
this
whoop.
is a pretty big upgrade for us.
Well, if you get a coffee maker, I got some really good Rwandan and Ugandan coffee. So Uganda is the second largest coffee producer in Africa.
Really?
After Ethiopia. Yeah.
Huh.
I didn't know that. Yeah, and Rwanda produces a lot of tea, really nice tea if you like tea.
I do like tea. I put honey in mine though, and I think that's against the rules.
You put what?
Honey.
Oh no,
you can do that.
Totally okay.
Totally okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I know some people frown on me when I do that, but it's like that's the only way
I'll bring in some tea if you like tea.
Please, I would love that, Ben. Thank you. Well, it has been a pleasure to have all of you along with us today for Across the Acres. We'd ask that you would give us a 5-star rating and review on the podcast provider of your choice. As always, tune in next time as we endeavor to connect, challenge, and inspire. And until next time, we'll catch you across the acres.